Hello, welcome to Taking Stock 42, which we all know is the meaning of the universe. I want to talk today about why we are scared of new things and to think about why we don't admit too often to that fear, nor deal with it. In fact, more than that, we not only don't talk about it, but we don't acknowledge it even to ourselves. And that fear, that denial, is crippling and debilitating. We've probably all watched one of the great marathons on television, London or Boston or New York. We probably all thought at one time or another that it would be great to be able to do that, to run 26 miles, 385 yards without stopping in front of huge crowds of cheering people. If you're anything like me though, that thought has evaporated like snow in the Sahara before the wish has been even half formed. There are as many different reasons for not doing something as there are reasons for doing it, I guess, and everyone has their own. When it comes to marathons, I marvel. I marvel at the endurance and the courage and the sheer boneheaded stupidity of people who want to run through 26 miles of London streets wearing the back end of a pantomime horse or carrying a tray of drinks when there's a perfectly serviceable 211 bus which will take you over Westminster Bridge, or at least there was in my day. But though I marvel, I do not participate. And I make all sorts of excuses as to why I don't, which all sound perfectly reasonable to me, but which don't really bear close scrutiny. The bottom line is that we don't do things because we don't want to do them. And then we try to blame someone else or something else for our own lassitude. Michael Green, an ex-journalist and many years ago, wrote an excellent series of humorous books about various pastimes, which he gave a generic title, The Art of Course, whatever. So the art of course golf, the art of course fishing, acting, rugby, etc. He suggests that the only skill a course sportsman has may be located in the vast range of reasons why the blame can be laid entirely at the door of someone else or something else. No one is immune to this, even Christians. If we're human, we all do it. Now, if this thought depresses you, you don't have to worry about it. You need only read the book of Genesis to see that it's been a tendency of the human race almost from the beginning. The first person to offer a self-justifying excuse was, well, actually, it was the first person, Adam. When God came looking for him in the garden, what was Adam doing? Hiding. Now think about that for a moment. Adam is hiding. He's hiding behind some bushes from the creator of the universe. Now, here's a being who can create a whole universe out of nothing, sculpt every rock better than an infinite amount of Henry Moores working for an infinite amount of time, design every single life form, place the stars in their courses and shunt the planets and solar systems around, invent the theories of steady state, Big Bang, evolution and relativity, and all before breakfast. And Adam thinks if he hides behind some bushes, God won't see him. Which all goes to prove that when Adam ate of the fruit of the garden, it might well have included the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but it certainly did not include the fruit of the tree of common sense. There's hope for us all, yeah. So anyway, God comes looking for Adam and discovers him cowering behind some bushes because Adam's ashamed. Now God asks him why he is ashamed. And then we get the first in the long line of crass excuses which humanity has offered to the long-suffering deity. Adam says he's hiding because he's ashamed of his nakedness. Rubbish. He's hiding because he knows that he's done something far more important than realising that he's got some uncovered dangly bits. He has broken just about the only law God gave him. The only nakedness Adam is ashamed of is his naked disobedience. Now, it's possible, I suppose, that if Adam had said, "Sorry, God, made a mistake, won't happen again, give me a second chance," that God might have done just that. However, what does Adam do? He blames it on Eve. What does Eve do? Well, she blames it on the serpent. I guess we all do this. We all try to locate our own faults and failings out there somewhere. And usually if we're Christians and we have enough of what my Jewish friends call chutzpah to claim to know that entity's doings intimately, we place the blame on the devil. Now we know that just like Adam and the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it really is our fault. And that's the reason we don't generally take up marathon running in middle age, isn't it? It's not the fault of our spouses, our workload or our children. It isn't the fault of our parents or our friends. It's our responsibility that rather than rush out and join the comparatively pathetically few who do stagger around the streets of London on a morning in May, we raise our beer glasses in slightly mocking salute and then exhaust ourselves reaching for the TV remote control. Now, our inertia is most of all powered by fear. One of the main reasons we don't all take up marathon running or anything else which is new to us is because in general, new is scary. Exhilarating perhaps, but scary. We're all, to a greater or lesser extent, scared of everything for the first time. We get scared of the first day at a new school. We get scared the first time we represent the school in anything. The first time we pick up a musical instrument perhaps. The first time we play in an orchestra. The first time we turn out for the school football team. And loads of others. Just because for the moment I've used examples exclusively from childhood does not mean that we are immune to this phenomena as adults either. It's just that as adults, we're more adept at hiding it from the others, often by being facetious or by acting the fool or by inappropriate bravado. See, the problem with the first time, though, is that we invest the unknown new experience with so much more power than it actually has, mostly by stewing over it. Now, this isn't to say, of course, that there's no significance in a first time. Far from it. Our first experience of anything can influence our feelings towards whatever it is for the rest of our lives, if it's powerful enough. A friend of mine once described his physical reaction to his first puff on a cigarette as like having his chest sandblasted, the inside of his head pebble dashed, and his stomach turned inside out. Needless to say, he never touched tobacco ever again, and a jolly good thing too. My first reaction to cigarettes, unfortunately, was nothing like as violent as his, but that's a different story. The first time I confessed to Christianity was when I was 13. I was on the Isle of Wight during that pop festival, only I was at a BB camp. A congregational minister named, well, never mind what he was named, had played upon our early pubescent consciences for about 3 days, given us all free copies of Good News for Modern Man, which was basically the Gospel of Luke, and convinced us that we had all had close brushes with the devil because of our involvement with the occult. Now, looking back on it, I find it remarkable that all 28 of us confessed to having had something to do with the occult. And these were before the days of Friday the 13th or even The Exorcist, and in wonderful suburban Chingford, that hotbed of sin and centre of London's busy satanic scene I used to call home. Mind you, they did used to call Norman Tebbit, our local MP, Dracula, didn't they? Anyway, there we were, all thoroughly converted into tentative belief in someone we weren't sure of by a fear of something we didn't even know existed. And I decided to telephone my mother at home to tell her the good news that I'd become a Christian. I could feel the sweat running down my back as the telephone system made the connection, and as far as I recall, the conversation between me and my Yorkshire mum went something like this. Hello, Mum, it's me. Hello, love, are you having a nice time? Mum, I've become a Christian. That's nice, love. What's the weather like on Tyler White? Now, time mercifully dims the rest of the conversation, leaving merely the faint puzzlement only 13-year-olds can feel when somehow they know they've not been taken seriously. All I can remember is that by the time I got back to camp, I'd already become thoroughly recidivist because despite the urging of the minister, the time was not right for me. Because the decision had not in effect been mine, it had been forced upon me by peer group pressure. Now later, of course, I did become a Christian, but that experience did much to delay my conversion and very little to hasten it. But it also began a lifelong fascination with the power that a charismatic personality can exercise over a vulnerable, malleable young person. And not all vulnerable persons, mind you, are under the age of consent. Some years later, when I really did become a Christian, it was easy to make that confession. Even my mother took me seriously. But first times are not easy. Quite often, the only thing that gets us through first times, well, other than external compulsion, like the first time we go to school, is our inward conviction that we're doing the right thing. And strangely enough, that's seldom dependent upon how much practice we've previously put in. and the encouragement of others. Paul calls it the Spirit witnessing to our spirits that we're children of God. I want to say something here though about the effects of espousing Christianity, of taking that first step, of opening yourself up to the influences of the Spirit so that he can witness to your spirit. There's no way of quantifying how this happens any more than there is any way of prescribing how you should feel about it. You can be as terrified, nervous or elated as you like. You can go into church or chapel with your mind or emotions hovering just below sea level and leave feeling not much better, but knowing nonetheless that God is in there with you somewhere. There's a terrible urge in the human psyche towards regimentation, and many people are put off Christianity either because they don't feel as some Christians tell them they should when they become Christians, or because they just don't resonate with what's being told them about Jesus or Christianity. Perhaps because they want to express their newfound faith in a way which others may look upon as being over-exuberant or over-emotional and inappropriate, they're accused of not using the intelligence God gives them, or they're relying too much on an emotional high. But the truth is, of course, that a genuine conversion is both emotionally appealing and intellectually stimulating. Whether we are then capable of articulating that stimulation is another matter. Because I believe that God appeals to the whole person, even if the person concerned is not aware until then of that wholeness. Because we're not a cardboard cutout. We're not cookie cutter Christians. We're all different. And what the balance is between what might be broadly labelled emotion and intellect is entirely up to the individual, so long as there is a balance and that both are present. The important thing about first steps is that they are taken, not necessarily how they are taken. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. Find out what works for you. Find out what motivates you, what drags you off the sofa, if you like, and what might impel you to risk looking stupid or stumbling or uncertain, but which drives you to become someone you never thought you could be, to achieve what you never thought you could achieve, and to grow more wholly yourself in the face of your fear of the unknown. And stay safe, people.